How can guidelines reduce the risk of employment lawsuits? In today's fast-paced business environment, the question on many employers' minds is how to avoid the costly consequences of employment lawsuits. Just earlier this week, a high-profile case highlighted the importance of having clear workplace guidelines. As organizations strive to create a safe and fair environment, understanding the role of guidelines is essential. Guidelines play a direct role in helping organizations lower the chance of facing employment lawsuits. When businesses set clear rules and follow best practices, they can avoid many legal problems. First, guidelines help define what is acceptable behavior at work. For example, anti-harassment and anti-discrimination policies make it clear that certain actions are not allowed. This clarity helps employees understand their rights and responsibilities. It also gives managers a standard to follow when addressing complaints or disputes. Second, having written guidelines can show that a company is serious about following the law. If a lawsuit happens, courts often look at whether the employer had policies in place and whether those policies were followed. Companies that document their efforts to prevent harassment or discrimination are less likely to be found liable if a problem arises. Third, guidelines help with training and communication. Regular training sessions on workplace behavior, discrimination, and safety keep everyone informed. When employees know the rules and see that management enforces them, they are more likely to report issues early. Early reporting allows companies to address problems before they turn into lawsuits. Fourth, guidelines can include steps for handling complaints. A clear process for reporting and investigating complaints ensures that issues are dealt with fairly and quickly. This reduces the risk that employees will feel ignored or mistreated, which can lead to legal action. Fifth, guidelines can help with documentation. Keeping records of complaints, investigations, and disciplinary actions is important. Good documentation can protect a company if an employee claims they were treated unfairly. Courts often look for evidence that the company acted reasonably and followed its own rules. Finally, guidelines can help limit liability after an employee leaves. For example, severance agreements with clear language can reduce the risk of post-termination lawsuits. However, these agreements must be written carefully and follow both federal and state laws to be enforceable. Setting and following guidelines is a practical way for businesses to reduce the risk of employment lawsuits. Clear policies, regular training, fair complaint processes, and good documentation all help create a safer and more legally compliant workplace.